Today, we'll be looking at the beginning history of an average tycoon for short, and we'll be seeing the rise, the fall, and the hacker situation. We need as much support as we can get heading into the beta release of this game, and it would be greatly appreciated if you join the community server, engage with the community, or do anything that helps this game get out there. I can't express this enough, but remember to like, share, and subscribe so that many more people can see this video. We need as many people as we can. It would mean a lot to me, and to everyone who is waiting for beta to release. Also, do not spread any hate toward any of the devs mentioned. They do a ton of work behind the scenes, and we must appreciate them. With that out of the way, let's move on to the video. There's many places we can start off from, but the best place to start is Lumber's original game-making history. Lumber is the owner and founder of OT, though it wasn't his only project he worked on. There were many games he worked on, but the most notable one was called The Maze Reimagined. It was based off of the original game The Maze on Roblox, made by Hyperslicka. The Maze Reimagined would have some features that an average tycoon would incorporate into their own game, such as entities, day and night system, etc. This game is where we will find all of the other developers from OT originate from as well, that being Dom, Jimbob, Artificial, and Node. The monsters or entities AI from The Maze Reimagined would help spark Lumber's next creation, an average tycoon. OT was being worked on around the first to third quarter of the year of 2025, with all of the previous developers mentioned working on their own expertise. This is where Lumber would eventually meet Andres Kukia, a composer who worked on many songs for video games over the years. He would eventually make the music for all of the future killers and some daytime-nighttime songs, including the release killer, called Mask Slasher Jason. The game would be inspired like no other before it, a entirely new concept of a game, from the bones of tycoons, and from the blood of Survive the Killer games on Roblox. This would be released shortly before the first public playtest for the game. The person who made the art, known as Redacted, was a person who also previously worked on similar art pieces in the Roblox space. An example would be Doomspire Tower Defense. He was well known with Lumber even before the game was made, though had only started working on the art because of a commission that Lumber gave him. He would soon become the manager after he had made several suggestions, and generally growing a voice in the community of OT. The killers showcased were said to be previously in development, or will be, during this time. The killers' names were Rust, John Doe, Cartoon Cat, Mask Slasher, and 1x1x1x1. There would be one killer down the line that would give problems to the development of the game, but we'll get to that. On the 24th of July, there was a public playtest, needing footage of the game and looking for bugs. This all would eventually be shown off in the trailer in the following days, exactly on the 27th of the same month. This trailer would gain an insane amount of attention on YouTube, with it featuring some day aspects, as well as the night, not only that had been released to the public, but also the official release date for the game's opening, 6/28/25. Near the release of the game, Lumber had to delay the update by 30 minutes. However, before the update had even been released, there was a little event going on. This is what the map looked like in the event. The waiting style type of event would appear again in the future, notably, the Redemption update. I currently do not know the initial success of the release, but it was most likely around a 100 to 300 active player count. There would be several small changes added onto the game through the upcoming days, bug fixes, private servers, etc. The game had only started to rise on 7 halves, at the peak of 500 concurrent users on the game at once. A couple days after the milestone, the Military Tycoon update would be released, featuring Military Tycoon, General, 45, Ghost Burger, and a ton of bug fixes. There was reportedly going to be a new killer in this update, which was a cartoon cat, but due to specific copyright reasons, he could not be released at the current moment of time. Lumber would try to resolve this with a license to the character. We will see if it pays off for him in the future. Coming off of the Military Tycoon update is around the time where an average tycoon was at its peak. The community and the game were both rapidly expanding, and so the promises of the game as well. In the Sneak Peeks channel, we would see many new additions, a map rework, John Doe, and Blocksmart. And we even got the models for Cartoon Cat and Rust that was said not to be coming soon. The next update would plan to bring all of these features into the game. The community was stoked about this, and so the player count began to rise once again. We saw player count numbers like we've never seen before, 1,000 players actively playing the game at once. While the player count was increasing, the devs didn't expect this much growth at once. The repercussions would soon follow, the next update being delayed several times, most probably due to John Doe and overall development issues with the team. They were trying to pump out the update as fast as possible to retain the influx of newer players. Some people of the community reasoned with them. They understood that they weren't going to endlessly work to push out the update, week after week, with the same promises of it coming out tomorrow, again and again. On the fateful day of 7/14, an announcement would be made that the level system would be reworked. However, this came with a cost. Everyone's levels would be reset next update. Then a poll would be made to release the update without John Doe, but he would still come out a couple days after the update. The majority agreed to this, as they thought it would be a good idea, both for the developers' health and the stability of the game. After the recent news that many players have seen, they were upset, back-to-back negatives. However, that didn't stop the majority of the player base to see what the next major update had to bring in store. The update would soon be released on 7/19, with Blocksmart, the map rework, better rebirth system, delivery system, animatronics in FNAF, and most importantly, the badges Billy Brown in Slashed. One downside to this update was that John Doe would not be released, and the biggest of them all, this update came along with a level reset. Players outside of the Discord server had no idea that their levels would be reset. The game would reach the front page with this update, but the players weren't happy at all. Levels apparently being reset out of thin air after getting 25 levels, Mask Slasher's AI being terrible for the new map, Blocksmart's lag, etc. Just to name a few. Some people started to leave, the community wasn't very pleased, and what made its way next was the John Doe update. Even though Lumber originally promised it'd take a couple of days for John Doe to release, it took a week and 3 days for the John Doe update to see the light of day. Almost every player who had played the game came back to see the new killer. What awaited them was just a John Doe model upon night beginning, and the removal of Blocksmart due to performance issues. They wondered who even playtested this. This is what we've been waiting for? An eventual bug patch would be revealed on August 6th, fixing most of the bugs that have plagued the game unplayable. Although fighting John Doe was fun for some people after this patch, others had already left. While all of this was happening, pointless dramas were being created in the Discord server of the game, namely the stud terrain issue with the map. The community, after these two major lackluster updates, were very disappointed. Even so, not much would be seen from the devs in the rest of August, but the worst is soon yet to come. If things couldn't get worse for Lumber, he would eventually fall for a scam in September. The scammer, FootFungus9, had stolen Lumber's account and took the game with him. The very same day, Lumber got his account back, but it was already too late. He had already stolen a copy of the game, Robux funds from the group, etc. 9/15, 9/21, the game was shut down, and people were being redirected to the fake version of the game, with a fake group and Discord server. In the fake game, multiple systems were broken, everything resetted data, and players outside of the main Discord server lost all faith in the game. Lumber and other important figures of the Discord server were calming people down, in that they would eventually get their game back. And they did, but what was lost was immense, something that they couldn't recover from. The concurrent player count dwindled down to an average of 50 players. The beginning of this game's lifetime felt like a dream. We had everything promised to us. Great things lied ahead. Those great things, some happened, but others, not so much. If you made it to the end of this video, please like, share, and subscribe so that more people can see this. That's all for now. If you want to see more of this content, let me know in the comments.